Season 5 has probably made me more confident about the future of Rayllum than any other season of the show. That is not because their relationship is particularly easy this season. It is not because there are no difficulties that they face this season. Quite the opposite, in fact. They are, more than in season 4, I believe, forced to confront the problems in the relationship. The reason why this bond did not fully work for them the first time, leading to their 2 years apart. They clearly love each other, as evidenced not just by what they overtly say and do, but by how they have been willing to start over to try to renew this relationship after so much suffering and so much time apart and so much estrangement. They want to make this work. But for it to work, they have to want what's best for each other and what's best for themselves. Love, in terms of pure passion and pure desire, is not enough. That matters, of course, and that still burns as strongly as ever in them. But more important than that is how they are willing to face their past mistakes, to understand where they have erred in the past and try to not only apologize for what happened, not only try to make up for what happened, but to try to use what happened as a learning tool to help their relationship grow and flourish in the future. The most evident example of this is when Callum and Rayla are walking through the solemn scar, and Rayla talks about how terrified and how miserable it is for her to walk through such parched, desolate land. But Callum disagrees, he says. He says that, yes, this is a place of loss. This is a place of gruesome circumstances. But it's also a place through which connection can happen, through which there can be a sense of renewal and regeneration. And this is one of the circumstances where the parallels between the relationship between Callum and Rayla and the relationship between the elves and humans are brought the closest together. These parallels are always here and they always exist, and they give a lot of thematic heft to the relationship between Callum and Rayla. But they are made quite explicit in scenes like this. But it works. It's not too obvious or too blunt, because, yes, if you are Callum, you would draw these parallels. You would look at this place of devastation, and yet renewal, this place that exists and has experienced so much history of the humans and the elves, and see in it a parallel to your own relationship with Rayla. A tenuous and tense relationship, but nonetheless one that can grow, that can emerge out of its ruins, out of the chaos that consumed it, and start over. It's a remarkably restrained moment that the show, of course, takes a bit too far by having a little green shoot emerge out of the ground past the area where they walked. But the Dragon Prince has never been shy of obvious symbolism. That's the show's brand at this point. But I like that Callum is drawing these parallels, that he does note, number one, that the relationship has suffered these severe cracks, And he doesn't pretend that doesn't happen. He doesn't try to act like the relationship has been nothing but sunshine and rainbows from day one. He has moved forward from the euphoria he originally felt back in the first 3 seasons of the show, especially season 3 for Rayla, and he has moved into a more mature and more adult understanding of the relationship between these two. And he considers how they can move forward with their lives. Of course, this is not the only moment of the show that is a call to reflect on the progress these two have made in their relationship and how their relationship is fundamentally different from how it was earlier. And it is necessary for the show to demonstrate that, not just for the benefit of these characters, but for the benefit of the show as a whole. It needs to clarify why this isn't the same as it was before, why it might be different this time. And that is hard for the show to do. Season 4, I think, threw off a lot of people, particularly the people who did not read the Through the Moon graphic novel, because in Season 3, Rayla and Callum are together, and then later, in Season 4, they are not. It's a bit jumbled, and a bit shocking. But the show has made a strong case for why that relationship break mattered. Why the relationship needed to suffer, needed to be severed in order for it to reform and to be reforged stronger than it was before. The same, of course, can also be said for the political and social dynamics of the show. The first 3 seasons give us this easy victory, this easy optimism. The later seasons demonstrate why it's not so easy, while still presenting an opportunity for renewal and regrowth and revitalization. There is a great moment where the Janai and Amaya relationship is paralleled with the relationship between Rayla and Callum, not just for the obvious reasons of it being a positive example of a relationship between elves and humans, but also because it demonstrates how simple, passionate feelings are not enough. They are good, they are beneficial, but they are not enough. There needs to be a sense of trust. There needs to be a sense of mutuality. There needs to be a sense that both people can completely depend on each other. Rayla and Callum did not have that before. They have it now. In the words of Aristotle, they are fundamentally urging the good of each other. The relationship is not one of mere practicality, of course, and it's also not one of mere pleasure and delight. Pleasure and delight matter, but ultimately they are transient, and a relationship based only on these positive feelings, as Aristotle writes, will last only for as long as these positive feelings last, but a relationship based on the good, on the mutual benefit of both partners, is longer lasting. We see the emphasis on mutuality later in the season when Rayla and Callum are jumping together into the water. For those who read Through the Moon, think of the time when Rayla decides to go in there alone. She constantly decides to go alone in Through the Moon. And she almost wants to just go alone here as well, but Callum wants to go with her. He insists, and she accepts. That's not to say they don't have their differences in their customs and traditions, as demonstrated in that gorgeously beautiful little stargazing scene, and in their individual personalities. Rayla still does not really like the water. It's hard for her. And that's brought out by this entire season 5 that's based around water and around the ocean and around sea travel. Callum accepts Rayla's dislike of the water. He doesn't try to push her. But Rayla nonetheless decides to try to help out Callum and Ezran at the end of the season. Not simply in her heroic way, but because she and Callum now have that relationship of trust, of mutuality, of being willing to do whatever it takes to benefit each other. I think the show makes a strong case that their relationship is stronger now, that it is founded on a much stronger and much more robust and much more solid place than it was in earlier seasons. The foundation of their relationship earlier was all sweetness and light. But now they have seen the darkness, and they're willing to face it, and they are willing to face it together. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can, and you want to see more videos like this one before anyone else. I really love how they evolve and nourish the relationship between Callum and Rayla this season. It does feel not just like an add-on to what we've seen before, but like the relationship is really being reborn. That is a bit scary for Callum and Rayla, but it's exciting for them, and it's even more exciting to watch. So anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Promise you that. Thank you all again. Tell me what you think of Season 5 in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Adios, comrades.